I honestly didn't plan on going. I didn't want to go. I wanted to, in fact, we had a little conversation via text. And you had told me some things, and I said, you know what? I just want to enjoy my family, live my life in peace, live happily ever after.
And don't have anything else to do with child sexual abuse.
I don't want anything. No, I had hit kind of a breaking point of, I don't know if I can handle this.
I'm Angela Williams.
And I'm Katie Sudano.
And I'm a survivor of child sexual abuse.
And I'm a survivor of child sexual abuse.
Welcome to Voice Up for the Voiceless. Well, we're so glad that you've tuned in with us. We are a podcast that dives into the deep issue of child sexual abuse, child exploitation, child trafficking, ritual abuse, all the dark subjects that everyone wants to put their hands over their ears. And it's like, I don't want to talk about that. I don't want to think about that.
And they're being abused right here in our backyard. This doesn't just happen outside of our cities.
So it's an important topic. So we do hope that you will tune in, stay tuned in, listen to the entire podcast, go back and watch other podcasts. We don't know when this is going to air, but we're probably about 30 in that we've released plus.
Yeah.
And are picking up subscribers every day. So if you've not subscribed, please do subscribe and share in your social media, because the only way that we're going to protect our children is to become more educated and to shed light into dark places and to open our eyes and our ears.
And also to provide the tips and resources that you need to know, to look out for if something like this is happening in our neighborhoods, in our schools, and unfortunately even in our own homes.
So we've had several shows with Kelly Hawley, who is the founder of Warrior Bride Ministries, and Katie and I just attended her conference last weekend. It was called Counting the Cost, Collision, and that was just expressing the collision between the spiritual realms of good and evil. And so we spent 3 days. I was honored to be the MC. And
you did great, by the way.
Thank you.
You did such a good job. And your jokes were funny.
And my corny jokes. I tried to lighten it up because it's such a heavy topic. And the people were there. The audience was a combination of, I think, mental health professionals who wanted to learn more.
Yeah, there was a lot, which was good.
Families who had this surface in their families, and also survivors. And so the audience was really, I think, hanging on every word, just really drinking up the content. But
I know, it was like literally 12 hours of content back to back. But I mean, as tired as I was, I could see everyone was just like really absorbing the information. There's just so much.
So the majority of the conference was on, we had talked about, and we've talked many times about child sexual abuse kind of being on a continuum, where you have maybe someone being but someone being touched by a family member or a friend or youth on youth. And then that goes from someone being repeatedly sexually abused over weeks, months, years, as myself, 14 years, Katie, a decade plus. And so that's sexual abuse. And then it goes into children being exploited, being filmed online, being put on the black web. And then you have children that are sold commercially, so that are trafficked commercially. And then the continuum continues as the evil, it's all evil. But then you get to ritual abuse, which very few people ever talk about. And there's not a lot of knowledge out there on the occult and on how children are programmed and mind control and the satanic ritual abuse. And that's what this whole weekend conference was all about.
I know. I honestly didn't plan on going. I didn't want to go. I wanted to, in fact, we had a little conversation via text. And you had told me some things, and I said, you know what? I just want to enjoy my family, live my life in peace, live happily ever after.
And don't have anything else to do with child sexual abuse.
I don't want anything. No, I had hit kind of a breaking point of, I don't know if I can handle this. I don't know if I can continue hearing these stories week after week and then feeling like I can't do anything. I'm putting it out, but then what? Like, what's the outcome? I wanted to see. I'm an all-in, see results kind of person, and it just seems so daunting. And it's so evil that I honestly, and I'm kind of ashamed to say it, but that's where I was, which was just a couple of weeks ago, that I was so afraid, and I didn't want it touching me or my family at all. And then I had to face it dead on, in the face. And it was probably the scariest thing I've ever done. It was the most radical, I'm going to say it how I saw it. It was weird. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, what is this? And I faced my deepest, darkest fear. And while it was not pleasant, and it took me about a week and a half to process and get over it. I don't know if you get over it, but just to process what that was, it did lead me to an enormous amount of peace. Mm. And the things that I was scared of before, I'm not scared of anymore. It's like I finally realized that I am powerful. I have the ability because I am the daughter of the most highest God.
So what Katie's talking about, all survivors of trauma, God gives us an ability to withstand trauma, to get through trauma, to survive trauma, by giving us sort of an amnesic barrier when you're going through it. And clinical psychologists have labeled this dissociative identity disorder. And that's when you dissociate from reality and you create sort of another part, another reality in your mind. We've heard it said split personalities or multiple personalities, but in that dissociative identity disorder, you kind of put those parts behind amnesic walls. And we're kind of like a tree trunk. And when you cut a tree trunk, you see all of these rings. So we are the accumulation of every age we've ever been. And every age that trauma has impacted our life in that age, we are that person. And I myself struggled from dissociative identity disorder by becoming sort of the good and evil, like the good Angie, the good Angela and the evil Angie, and these two polar opposites kind of fighting in my mind because of the shame that I had experienced and the evil that was perpetrated against me. I kind of took on that because this is happening to me and it's so bad and it's so evil. Then I myself in my flesh said, well, I must be bad and I must be evil. And it took a long time to process through that. And it took a long time to let the little girl, and I will say little girls inside of me, heal. Mm-hmm. And so I think that's a little bit of just coming face to face with that trauma and how it impacted you as a child.
So honestly, for me, and I know a lot of survivors that are kind of similar to me, where we were abused as young children or molested. It was abuse, sexual abuse. I don't remember a lot. Mm-hmm. It's very vague. I know things happened, but if you said, well, what happened at 7 years old in that bedroom? I can't tell you what, but I know that. Mm-hmm. And I have confirmation because my abuser did come forward and say it did happen. Mm-hmm. So it's very strange. I don't remember. So in my mind, it's kind of like, oh, then it can't be that bad. Mm-hmm. But on the flip side, now I know it probably was bad because when God gives this to us, this is a natural protective mechanism where, number one, we disassociate, we go somewhere else. Mm-hmm. I know that when I was being raped at 14, I was thinking while it was happening, why am I not doing anything? Mm-hmm. I was so frozen and traumatized, and yet I went somewhere else. Mm-hmm. I wasn't there on the steps on the side of that building. But so that's one aspect of it. And then years later, there's the you can't remember aspect. And then when I went to this is it therapy? I don't know what I don't know
You
what
went through
to call it. A process?
an inner healing ministry session.
Okay, I like that because I was going to say
healing.
something else. I don't want to say
No.
an inner healing
Ministry session.
And as I'm going through this, there was a lot of pieces that I never even recognized in my memories that kind of came to light, is how I can say. And like the weekend calls, it's a collision. It was like a clash of memories and
Probably body sensations.
yeah, but I don't even want to go there.
I know, but your stomach, you got sick.
Yeah, it was just a lot. It was physical. It was
cramps.
emotional. It was my memories kind of flooding in, not memories of what happened, but just memories of a time, space, and reality that I couldn't put my finger on. It was very bizarre, and I don't like to be out of control. Because when we're abused, it's out of our control. So now anything I can control in my environment is what makes me and keeps me safe.
Everything. Yeah, I get it.
And so I'm in this inner
healing.
Yes. And I'm totally out of control because these things are happening to me. These physical sensations are happening to me. And I was totally out of control, but not in a bad way, but in a good way kind of thing. It was finally kind of a release, a letting go. And it was scary. It was the scariest thing I've ever done.
Well, you lost time too.
I did. I was in a time warp. I literally thought I was there for an hour.
And how long were you there?
Well, my appointment was at 11, but I got the wrong address. So I think things were stopping me from doing this. I finally got the right address, so about 11:30. And I think I when I got in the car, it was still very time warpy. It was vague. I think it was like 3:30, 4 o'clock. So it was a long time, and I thought I was there for an hour. And I said things I don't even remember while I was in there. And that's when I really freaked out because Kelly, who I was with, and the other people had said that I started mimicking, talking like, or expressing a childlike behavior. Angela, I don't remember any of that.
Well, the
I
little
thought
girl
I had
in there wanted to say something, and the
She
little
did.
girl in there needed some healing. So hopefully, and if you've ever been in a ministry session, or if this is so foreign to you, in dissociative identity disorder, you do have different parts, and those parts hold pain and hold trauma. So part of the healing process is to call them forward and give them an opportunity to heal. And that's what Katie
and to
was
let go
able-
of things,
Let
shame, guilt, trauma, those things. I thought I was a little cuckoo crazy because I don't remember talking about a little girl. I don't remember anything about that. I thought I had gone through my physical little ailments, and then it was time to go. And I'm like, okay, thanks. And she goes, I think you need to come back. And I'm like, no, I'm good. And she said, I think you need to come to the conference. I'm like, no, I'm good. But yeah, so.
Well, like any healing, and if you're a survivor and you're going through your healing journey, it's painful. Like any type of surgery, to get better, if there's something inside of you, you've got to get it surgically removed. And sometimes that takes cutting and laser, and it's painful. It takes time for those scars to heal.
I know, I feel so bad because I was so mean.
So yeah, it's fine.
We're
BFFs, so she can be mean to me, and I can.
It's not. It's never okay. But honestly, I didn't know where it was coming from. I'm so grateful that you did. But
of course,
she's worried about me. Like, how are you doing? And I'm like, I'm not talking to you. Don't talk to me right now.
Well,
I need space.
The dark one, the evil one, Satan, would love nothing more than to come between our relationship and to put an end to this podcast, because we know that it's reaching people that need to hear the messages. And it's not only saving children, but I think it's helping survivors to know that they have a voice through us.
And that there's resources and things out there.
So later in the podcast, I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to say, I'm just so glad that I got through it, and that I had you and Phil and my family praying. But I just want to comment, though, because I don't want anyone to be afraid of this. No. Because even though it is scary, the other side is just so peaceful. And I was sitting at dinner, and two of my girls who have been worried about me, and they've been, I'm sure, praying for me too, and seeing some things in my life coming in that maybe weren't so godly, and that they were a little scared for me. They looked across the table, and they didn't know I had gone. They knew I was going, but I don't think they realized when I had gone, and I didn't want to talk about it because I was processing. And this is what kind of led me out of that processing kind of darkness that I was trying to wrap my head around. They both said, you're different. What's your, and I'm like, different how? And they're like, you're just lighter. There's like a lightness about you. And that's when I was like, oh, okay, this was actually a good thing.
So you went through this session a month ago, about a month
August
and a half.
30th.
Okay, so
I'll never forget that date.
Well, a month ago.
Yeah.
So how do you fast forward now, 6 weeks later? How
So
do you feel?
I'll share something very private and intimate about me. So I'm scared of everything. I'm scared of feelings that I'm feeling, like when I'm in the dark. Maybe entities that I pick up on or something. If there's a horror movie playing on the commercial of a TV, either mute it, switch it off, la 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 type of thing. If someone's telling me a scary incident or story, I don't want to hear it. Like, it's so scary to me. I remember one time, one of my kids, I don't know which one it was, I won't call them out because they didn't know, but they scared me. They were around the corner and they went, boo. I was so scared. I dropped down like a little girl and started crying like I was so scared. And then they started laughing at me because A, they probably thought I was exaggerating, and B, it's funny. I mean, I guess it seems funny, but they didn't understand how scared I am of those things. And then to be laughed at and be made fun of kind of triggered me back to times in my life where I was laughed at. So now I think they understand that, no, mom's not exaggerating. Mom's really scared of all this stuff. Like, I won't sleep for days when I even hear spooky stuff. So after this whole ordeal, I was going to say the private part was at night, my poor husband, for the past 27 years, I would wake him up so that I could go to the bathroom. Like, it wasn't enough just to turn the lights on. I needed someone awake with me so that I could go to the bathroom without being scared.
Oh, my goodness.
I feel bad for him because he wakes up on his own, and then he's got to wake up with me. And I would try. So I would hold it all night so that I wouldn't have to wake him up, so that I wouldn't have to go to bed or get out of bed without him. And then after the session, it was a step where I turned on all the lights, but I didn't wake him up.
Oh,
So
victory.
Yeah.
We have to celebrate those
So
victories.
So maybe next time I'll try not turning on so many lights. But he slept through it. He didn't even know. But he was shocked. I was like, I went to the bathroom.
We're groomed with a lot of fear when we're little, and a lot of our abuse happens in the dark. And we can't scream and we can't run. And so that's very rational fear. And if you're a survivor and you've experienced that, it's real. The fear is real.
But not even the dark stuff, like being in the dark. I think a lot of people are afraid of the dark. But like I said at the beginning, I have this weird sense of empowerment that I never had before. Like anything you can, like, I'm not calling on it, but I still pray over myself and I protect myself with the full armor of God. Trust me. But it doesn't come with this doing it out of fear. It's just doing it because we're called to do it.
Well, I want to read the scripture, and then what the rest of our podcast is going to consist of is Katie and I were able to interview some of the guests there and some of the speakers, and then some of the audience and people that were in the audience. And it's just mind-blowing. They're little snippet interviews, but it was mind-blowing. The people there, the experiences that they had with the occult, with mind control, with ritual abuse, some of the most egregious abuse I think I've ever heard. But they survived, and they're standing for God, and they're standing up for good against evil.
And they're facing it too.
And they're facing it. So I want to just share with you this scripture, and it comes from Ephesians 6:11 through 18. put on the full armor of God so that you can take your stand against the devil's schemes. For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of this dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms. Therefore, put on the full armor of God so that when the day of evil comes, you may be able to stand your ground. And after you have done everything to stand, stand firm with the belt of truth buckled around your waist, the breastplate of righteousness in place, and with your feet fitted with the readiness that comes from the gospel of peace. In addition to all of this, take up the shield of faith with which you can extinguish all the flaming arrows of the evil one. Take the helmet of salvation and the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of God, and pray in the Spirit on all occasions with all kinds of prayers and requests. With this in mind, be alert and always keep on praying for all of the Lord's people. So you're going to hear some tough stories, stories that, like I said, we would like to put our head in the sand and not hear, but we have so many survivors that we need to understand this on a more sophisticated level. When people say they've been through ritual abuse, what that really means. Mm-hmm. When people say they have dissociative identity disorder, what that really means. And as a church body, as God's people, we've got to understand it so we can be able to minister to them in a way that's compassionate and caring and loving and kind, and not kind of take society's approach of, oh, that's just craziness. I don't even want to hear that.
Or they're too sensitive or too emotional, or what's wrong with them.
Exactly.
That kind of stuff.
Exactly. So we hope you tune in to the end of the show and get some insight. And we'll have links below and some books below too that you might want to read to just go deeper and understand this issue of satanic ritual abuse on a better level.
Yep, absolutely. Okay. Well, and I think, how many did we have? We had
probably
a lot. Yeah, I can't remember. But you'll see.
Okay. Hi, I'm Angela Williams, and we're here and we're excited to be at the Warrior Bride Ministries Counting the Cost Conference, because our children's lives are worth it. So we're here and going to be podcasting and interviewing some speakers and even some volunteers and some guests. So we're just thrilled to be
excited
here.
Yep, super excited. This year's conference is called Collision. Do you know why?
No, tell me.
I don't. I'm asking you.
It's the colliding of the spiritual realm, of the darkness and the light.
I was wondering because I
Yes.
knew it was called colliding, but I didn't.
Collision.
I wasn't.
Yeah,
Or was it collision or collide?
I see collision on some T-shirts, so we'll have to.
Okay, well, it's called Collision, so it's a collision of the spiritual realm.
The spiritual realm of the evil and the good, the darkness and the light.
I'm really excited to be here. I didn't think I was going to be here. Like you'll hear me tell Kelly, our founder, when we talk to her, but this is really cool. Like I was a little afraid because of the subject matter. The whole spiritual realm is a little, I don't know if it's woo-woo or icky or scary. I'm not sure, but now it's like I've been through some things lately where it's like it's there.
We have to expose it. We have to expose what's happening to our children. Yeah. It goes beyond, as Kelly has said before, it's a continuum. So there is sexual abuse, and then there's occult abuse, and then there's satanic ritual abuse, and there's trafficking, and it just keeps going. So what we're here to do is expose this evil, shed light on it, and there will be, I'm so grateful, a link that you can actually watch the conference whenever this is aired. So we'll have all of that.
Yeah, it's live streaming, but we'll have the recording link on there. Thank you. We are so excited. We're here at the Warrior Bride Counting the Cost Conference, and we have a special guest with us today. His name is Ian Bryson. Did I get that right?
Yes.
He came all the way from Connecticut just to come to the conference. He's got an amazing story, and we're blessed to have you today.
Thank you.
And
I'm blessed to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell us a little bit about why you're here and why you came.
So my daughter was abducted by an intergenerational cult 2 days after Christmas.
Okay, hold on, pause, because we say all these things. I'm the naive one on the podcast. What does that mean? You just said that. A lot of people don't know what that means. She was abducted by
an intergenerational cult. So my first wife's family is a cult family that's been a cult family for I don't know how many generations, but at least to her grandparents.
Okay.
And my first wife told me that she was going to abduct our daughter, and at the time, I had no idea what that was either. I thought that she was possessed. I thought that she had a trauma history, and that's all I wanted was for us to get help. And she told me that she was taking our daughter back to the cult, and I told her she was crazy. That, what are you talking about? She said because of mind control. And again, I just said, can we please get help? And then it happened, and I gave my daughter a hug, watched her go down the stairs with her mother following her, thinking they were going to the library, and called my best friend and asked, what can I do? This is happening again, because I'd seen these patterns in my first wife. And at that point, cult and mind control and everything else my first wife had been telling me just flooded back in, and I realized they were gone. So I ran to the police department, and we were living in the Netherlands. They wouldn't take a report. The U.S. Embassy told me it was out of their jurisdiction, and I never saw my daughter again.
And she's American?
She's
The
American.
mom.
And how old was she when she was taken?
She was a month away from 4 years old.
And how old would she be now?
17.
If she's listening, somehow, some way, we serve a big God. What would you want to say to her?
I would say to her that I love her more than I love just my life, and she's everything. She's the purpose for life. She's other than God, she is my hope, and that our God is a God that answers prayers, and I will never stop coming from you, and I have the one who can and will fighting for me and with me.
Can we say her name?
Her name is Adele.
Adele?
Adele, yeah.
I have so how can our guests get a hold of your book? How can they get more information about your daughter that's missing?
Well, he's going to be on our podcast on Tuesday.
he's
We'll
gonna
have
be there,
all
all
those
that.
links.
Okay.
We'll get into more detail
Yes.
for sure. But I'm so glad that we were able to introduce
Yeah,
you
and
today
thank
and
you.
that you're
Yeah,
here.
I'm so glad to be here. Thank you very much.
And we will blast out, as last count, we had upwards of 27,000 subscribers. So we will continue
amazing.
To give links to your story and
It'll be on
continue
our
to fight,
website.
to fight with you and,
Yeah.
and pray with
Thank you
you.
very much. And
Right.
yeah, we're on the winning team. Like it's a
winning
certainty. As a dad, it's hard because time matters. Like when you're from that perspective, but from God's perspective, it's a guarantee.
Ooh, I've
And
got the chills.
That's
so
why I rest. I'm at peace and joy most of the time because
She feels your love. She knows.
Yeah.
She
I know.
knows your love is there. It's in
Yeah.
her heart. It'll never
I
leave.
know. I used to, when I was pushing her on the swing when she was young, I would say, don't ever let go, just hold on. And
So I'm sure she's holding on. I'm sure she wants to see you as desperately as you want to see her.
yeah,
And
no-
what a great example to fathers out there who feel that they're not connected to their children or for some reason they're separated from them. To see all the hard work and the prayers that you have for her is truly remarkable and it's commendable. Thank
Thank you.
you.
And God will redeem the years the locusts have stolen. Just hold on to that.
yeah.
Yeah.
All
He
right.
can-
Thank you for being with
Thank
us.
you.
Even we're at the Warrior Bride Ministry Counting the Cost Conference, and stories like these are heart-wrenching, but they have to be told. So we feel so blessed, Katie and I, that we get to help tell these stories. So thanks so
Absolutely.
much.
Thank you. Yep.
Thank you very much.
We're so excited to be here at the Warrior Bride Ministries Counting the Cost Conference, which is an annual conference, and this year's conference is called Collide. And we're here with the founder, Callie Holly, my dear friend, sister.
Yep.
And so, Callie, just tell us a little bit about the conference, the inspiration for the conference, why it's so important, and just some of our speakers that we're going to have to be able to enjoy over the weekend. I don't know if enjoy is the right word, but be educated, be enlightened.
Be educated and come in unity, come together in unity. So I'm the founder of Warrior Bride Ministries. This is our 4th annual Counting the Cost Conference where we ask, what are our children worth and what are you willing to do about it? So that's what we really focus on. We get into what is going on with our children. What is the war against our children? What is the root of it? And then once we expose that, as iron sharpening iron, as we have some of the leaders in really the world, in my opinion, gathering to talk about what's really going on, and then what can we do about it? How can each one of us get in our position to help end this fight, the modern day slavery against our children?
And we've had you a couple times on our show, Kelly, but could you just, in case they haven't seen it, when you talk about modern day slavery and what they're doing to our children, what do you mean by that?
So what I mean by that is there's a target on our children to capture them as young as possible. And often it's even in the womb that they start working on this. Some is very intentional. Some is more of mass indoctrination, but some is very intentional. And when I say some, that's probably not the right word, because there's millions and millions that they purposely target, either them or their mother while they're pregnant. And as soon as they can get their hands on them, they start traumatizing them to the point where they fragment. And when they fragment, they create multiple personalities, what we call DID today. And then the enemy is weaponizing them without their knowledge, because Yahweh gave us a gift of when we have trauma that is too great, that it would, a part of our conscious would break off behind an amnesic wall. That is for natural trauma that we're going to occur here. But the enemy has hijacked that and is purposely doing it so that they can create these almost like Uber soldiers. This took another step forward when the Nazi scientists came over here after World War II, and they started implementing what they did with the Uber soldiers into our children, and they started creating these soldiers. But the thing is, because so much of it is behind the amnesic wall, most of the time they don't even know until whatever ordained time comes when he starts showing them, or their system starts breaking down and they start trying to figure it out, and then walk out their healing. And he is the healer, and he is continuously wooing them for them to choose him. But it is a choice, and it sounds crazy that it's a choice when you're so young, but the people that had authority over you used their authority, and they were conscious. And there is, the spiritual realm is just different. It's very legalistic. And if they say, I want to make a deal with this, that, or the other to make this stop, then that's a deal that has to be broken.
In the spiritual realm.
In the spiritual realm, but it manifests in the physical.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So Kelly, just a couple of quick questions. You sold out the conference, huge success, but it's going to be streamed live, and it will be on the internet for someone that's watching. We probably won't have this out for a month.
But it'll be recorded, right?
Oh, okay.
It'll be on
Recorded.
Rumble, I think. And
so can you let everyone know how they can go back and watch the recording of this weekend's conference, because you won't get this kind of information anywhere else?
Yeah, so first of all, we need your prayers because we are having some technology issues. But the plan is to streamline this on Warrior Bride Ministries Rumble channel and YouTube.
And if our viewers want to support your ministry, how do they support it financially?
You would go to the website at www.warriorbrideministries.com and hit the donation button. You are welcome to also reach out to me if there's something you want to discuss about it. But there is a donation button on there.
And a prayer. What's your biggest prayer request right now?
My prayer request, okay, well, since they won't see this after the conference, is that we would just stop choosing to not look at the truth and to not be like Bereans, as the scriptures tell us. The scriptures say that the Bereans were of more noble character because they chose to search a matter out. And that is what we have to do. Don't take what we tell you as truth. Go research yourself. Mm-hmm. Go study it out. Because we cannot just keep turning a deaf eye to this. This will overtake us if we don't stop it now.
A blind eye and a deaf ear. That's what most people have.
Yes. That's what I meant.
She's a little frazzled. She's running around. She's trying to put a conference on. So we're glad that we got 10 minutes from you, Kelly. We're going to let you go.
Thank you so
Please
much.
go to warriorbrideministries.com and learn more about Kelly's ministry, because it is so desperately needed, and survivors need help. And Kelly does an amazing job ministering to survivors that have gone through such egregious and horrific abuse.
And thank you for putting this on.
Absolutely.
And actually, I know you have to go, but literally was not going to come to this. I'm like, don't want to, good for you. I'll root you on. I'll watch from live. And then there was just such a huge pull for me to be here. So thank you for putting this on. I know it's a lot of work. I know we've all been attacked. I know I was. But I'm here and you're here. And, hopefully people will get this out and learn so much
Yeah.
more about it.
And our children are worth it, and we're going to keep battling.
absolutely.
So thanks for tuning in. I am so excited. We're here at the Warrior Bride Ministries Conference. It is Counting the Cost. This year's conference is called the Collision Conference. And we are so blessed, Katie, to have
we're
with
so
us the
excited.
keynote speaker, Amanda Byes. So Amanda, welcome.
Thank you.
And you have come quite a long way. Can you
Yeah.
tell our guest where you're from?
Yeah, we're from South Africa.
That's amazing. It's amazing that you would travel that far to come.
It's
and,
worth it.
and be
Oh,
a part
It's
of it.
worth
yeah,
it.
for sure.
Absolutely.
Yes. So tell us a little bit about your work, Amanda, and what you're going to be speaking on over the next 3 days at the conference.
Okay, it's been quite stressful because everything I learned in the beginning in baby shoes was coming from your nation. Because I mean there was just no teaching around, on DID SRA. So that was the start of the journey. And I was teaching generational curses. It was really the focus that the Lord had, put his finger on. And then, of course, when you start dealing with generational curses, then you start getting survivors coming for help. And you do everything you know to do, and you pray, and you break, and you do everything and then they're still stuck. And realize, but there's deeper stuff, and there's more to go. So, and then started to find out now, how do I get the deeper stuff? Because in those days, we didn't have internet in South Africa.
Yeah.
So we would get photocopies that would come from the States. And that's basically, how we started to learn about that. It was like, what? In one person, part of them can eat cabbage and another part can't. Part of them can see and another part has to wear glasses. And so it was like, what is going on? It was totally a strange world.
Yeah.
So that was the way I started. And then you learn as you go, and you don't ask to do this ministry. God is the one that appoints. Because I think if you know what you're in for, it's tough.
We would all run. I'm trying to run. I've been doing this work for about 30 years, and I've been trying to run too.
Every other week, I think.
She runs every other week, so we totally get it.
Okay.
So tell us what do you have any of this history in your life as a child?
No, I do have just brokenness.
Brokenness? Yeah, I think
my
we
dad
all-
was an alcoholic.
Okay.
So that brought a lot of shame, and that's basically what I was teaching was just from my own life, and the brokenness, and how the generational curses, also the emotional stuff, also get carried across. So
it just goes deeper and deeper.
Yeah.
So talk
Yeah.
a little bit about what you're going to be speaking on this weekend.
Sure. When we spoke about what we should cover, I mean, when you look at a mountain of work and you've got to package it for a weekend, it's quite a challenge. And so then Kelly said, I said, well, we've got some survivors that we've worked with that are dragon trainers and dragon riders and dragons this and dragons that. And hey, but there's nothing written. There's only like worldly secular stuff, but there's no biblical. So where does the dragon fit in? We know he's called Satan, in the book of Revelation. And so that. And then Rowley jumped in. And I mean, he is in the blessing side.
And that's your husband.
That's my husband. He's with me now.
Is he here?
Yeah, he's here too.
perfect.
We have to go
Yeah,
grab
we
him.
should grab him.
He's going to share a little bit on just the feast and the things this afternoon. So, but he then jumped in and he said, "Look, I don't want airy fairy stuff. Or whatever comes forward has to be biblically based." So he's very much into the word, into the Hebrew, into the meanings of the words. And so he took it from that side and he started digging. I couldn't believe this is my husband. I said, this must be God, these things, because it's not his
It wasn't what you were used to.
it's not his
think.
heart,
Yeah.
where the brokenness and the breaking of the curses is my passion. He's again putting the blessings back. We've got to raise back the families, get them back to God's order.
Yeah.
So that's basically so I end with the dragons.
Oh, wow.
I'm still stuck on the whole dragon thing. This is the first I've heard about dragons. So
Yeah.
No,
we're not at a.
it's your highly ranked survivor that would be We've got 5-year-olds that have their own dragons. So what they've done
You
now,
dragons, you mean like a spiritual thing?
Yeah.
Like a demon thing?
it's an entity. It's
an entity.
much bigger, yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
And basically started all in the Garden of Eden. So we went right back and we started to see, but where did the dragon start? Because we know Revelation speaks about the dragon, but where did it start?
Wow, that's going to be
And
so
why?
eye-opening. I cannot wait to hear it.
I know. I'm very intrigued.
So, Amanda, if our guests want to learn more about your work, do you have a website or
Yeah,
books or information that they can find you?
Canaan Ministries with a K,
Okay.
because the C was already taken.
Yeah, spell that for us.
Yeah, it's KANAAN.
Okay.
Okay.
So it's
Canaan
just the
Ministries.
K, yeah. CanaanMinistries.org, O-R-G.
Okay.
Okay.
And
We'll put it
we've
in the
got all the,
We'll put it
all
in
the
the links.
material is there.
Yeah.
And we're actually going to, with the first session, we'll be explaining the courses we've put together. And it wasn't planned at all. It's just the way God led, you know, and you stumble. It's such a beautiful word, is that you stumble into the will of God. You don't plan it, because if you knew, you would
run.
You would run.
I know I laugh because we
You
can relate,
understand.
both of us.
Yeah, yeah.
We are so absolutely grateful that you're here, that you traveled
thank
so
you.
far, and I look forward. I'm emceeing the whole weekend, so I so look forward to
Wow.
getting to know you better and to just learn more about your work, because I've been working over the last 20 to 30 years with survivors of child sexual abuse, and then had things come up like you're speaking of and thought, what is this? Where did this come from? Manifestations.
Yeah.
And so I am on this journey to learn too, and be able to help support survivors. And we're so grateful, Katie and I, to have this platform for the podcast to be able to get the word out.
Awesome.
Yeah, yeah.
Because
We would love to have you on for like a
Yes.
full episode.
A full
if you want.
episode, we could Zoom you in.
awesome.
Might be a
Well,
little
if you're
late
in
for you,
town-
but
well, if she's in, when do you leave? Are you in town for a while?
I'm ministering for the whole of next week.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Oh, wait, I think I have an appointment or something. But don't I have something on Monday? Kelly signed me up for something.
yeah,
Okay.
might be. But we'll if we can get you in the studio, we would love to. We can
Oh,
come
yeah, that
pick
would
you
be
up
great.
and take you to
Yeah.
the studio
Yeah,
and
would
actually
love that.
do
You
a
and your
full interview.
husband.
Yeah.
So head over to CanaanMinistries.org and learn so much more about Amanda Byes. Thank you for tuning in. And we're so excited to have one of our keynote speakers, Cheryl Beck, with us. Cheryl, just welcome and tell us where you came from.
Hi, thank you very much for the welcome. I came from Central Mountain area of Arizona.
How's the weather there now?
It's
Hot.
94 degrees.
94.
Yes,
Oh my
hot,
goodness.
hot.
Well, you got to.
Unusual for October.
You got to cool off a little bit while you're here, because we're
I know,
having a
really,
little
we're
cold.
hot, Lana. We're supposed to be hot.
Well, Cheryl, tell us what you're going to be talking about over the weekend.
Sure. I'm going to be talking about Rahab, okay, and the power of the blood and how God weaves the tapestry of our lives together. And if you will view your tapestry of life in heaven, I think you'll see a lot of red lines where the power of the blood stood up against the enemy.
Oh,
Oh, wow, that's going to be powerful. Yes. And Cheryl, what kind of are you? Do you have a ministry, or tell us a little bit about yourself?
Okay, well,
How you came to this work?
Sure. I'm an SRA.
MK Ultra and child trafficking survivor. I was born in 1961 in Southern California, and I was born into a bloodline family, and therefore I was taken to a witch when I was 2 and deemed an expendable. So that's why the family decided I wasn't worth teaching the religion or preparing for the New World Order. So the witch deemed me expendable, which meant they only used me, the family, for child trafficking to make money. And then my step-grandfather was OSS CIA, and he handled my father and his DID and his personalities, and he had my father sign us up for Project Monarch with MK Ultra. So I was 4 and my sister was 6 when we were put in that. And basically in MK Ultra, I was used the same as what the family decided to do, as a little seductress, blackmail, child prostitute.
Bless your heart. My heart is just beating so fast
I know,
for you
I've
right
got the
now.
chills.
That was a lot. And I know
know.
I'm a survivor too, so as we tell our stories, we almost tell it outside of ourselves sometimes. But
Right.
oh my goodness, that's a lot. That's a lot.
Right.
Have you written a book, or is there?
We did write a book. Dale Griffiths, who was a top cult investigator in the late 90s, and Ted Schwartz, who was an investigative journalist, investigated my sister and my story and found it to be true. And we were going to prosecute my father, who he turned 64, and they took him out on his 64th birthday, which is typical of CIA operatives that they're not going to use anymore because his programming was breaking down and he was too much of a liability. So they took him out, and with all that research that they did, we put it into a book called Secret Weapons, Two Sisters, Terrifying True Story of Sex, Spies, and Sabotage. That came out in 2001, and George W. Bush, of course, was the president. Well, I had interactions with his dad and him in SRA, and so he shut the production of the book basically down. So there are some copies out there, but if you can find it in a used store, you can find it.
You know, otherwise it's a scalping price of like $1,000.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
Boy, you've been through a lot. I look forward to listening to you over the
Yeah.
weekend. That's going to be it's going to be mind blowing.
Yeah, for sure.
So Cheryl, thank you for the work that you've done. Thank you for having the courage to stand up against this, to fight against this, to talk about this, and just what a blessing you are. Thank you.
God bless you, fellow survivors.
The work that you do, I'm going to cry. So I am able to know firsthand the work. We together have worked on survivors that are being trafficked and being sold. One particularly, a 6-year-old that was being taped and sold on the black market, the black web, and he jumped in and helped that mother navigate some pretty horrific a court battle to get her daughter back. So,
Right.
T, just talk to our viewers a little bit about the work that you do. I know you can't talk a whole lot.
Right. Yeah.
That's how she's known as T, and I'm surprised that we get to see her face on camera because what she does is very dangerous work.
So I have to, first of all, I'm going to give all my everything to the Lord. I mean, for real. And the Lord's been opening more and more doors where I'm able to move in plain sight, but even in the last year, get on camera. But it's really about being bold and saying, okay, Lord, I'm going to trust you in this. And it goes into something called the authentication process too, and that gets into legalities that are outside of Babylon. So I'm somebody who is authenticated and is somebody who, once I did that, I saw there was a definite difference in the spirit where it was reverberating all the way to the opposing side, to the enemy side. And where I could see the 3-letter agencies, those kind of things, outside where I would be places doing meetings or working on cases, investigative side, rescue side, and after a while they couldn't get close, or I could see them but they couldn't move in and do a snatch and grab basically because that's their goal. So I'm somebody who's a different kind of survivor. I'm a survivor of government-sponsored kidnapping. I have a child, Jonah, who has been kidnapped into an international trafficking and international, international kidnapping. So, and it's a long
How old
battle.
was he when he was kidnapped?
He was turning 5.
He was turning 5 when he was kidnapped. I'm sorry. It's just it breaks my heart so much. And how old would he be today?
Jonah will be 16 coming up in December. So, but God is good, and he's a bloodline hierarchy child. So he's somebody that they keep alive because of that.
Have you had any contact with him?
No, but we have leads. So, and those children, like I said, they're not expendable children. They're used for their IQ. They're used to groom into a nefarious position and program super soldiers usually, or something of a higher nature than that. So, but I believe, again, God is good, and I know that I didn't come this far to do this, to be dropped off a cliff, to not see him come out with the others. And I have to tell you, I feel like I'm a mother to others that are fighting this, like the case that Angela and I worked on. And I got to tell you, like, just seeing that child get rescued and not be legally kidnapped into the system, because she was, and that was their goal, to traffic her through the court system, and use the court system as a tool. And that's something I think that we need a lot of education on, that we really need to educate the masses, that this is one of the largest ways that children are kidnapped around the world is through our governments.
So what happens,
You know?
so for those that are kind of like clueless on what we're talking about, but
Right.
what will happen is a mother will come forward with a child sexual abuse accusation from the child, or either catch it in the act. I mean, I think one of our cases had it taped.
Right.
A taped confession.
Right.
But the court system will fight for the fathers to keep custody, keep visitation, and that child is still in danger. And then they'll flip it on the mother that the mother's crazy, and then they'll try to take absolute custody away from the mother.
Right.
And then the child is totally vulnerable to be trafficked at that point.
Correct.
And so tell us some of the work that you've done in that arena broadly. I know you can't talk
Yeah.
specifics, but just if there's a mother listening, or
Right.
just that there's help out here, there's somebody battling and fighting.
Right. So what I have done is I have teams that we work on legal kidnapping cases, and what we do is we empower the parent to fight, and we basically we're behind the scenes empowering them on which way to move, that kind of thing, and how to fight. But one of the things, I have a new ministry called Isaiah 61 Ministries, and it's within a series of partnering other ministries called Save One Soul Project Task Force Coalition is what it is. And it is under an executive director who has taken down some of the largest trafficking rings in the United States.
Wow.
So
That's powerful.
Yeah, it really is. So, and again, like I said, we work with others that are in the SRA arena, those that used to, like the former late great Russ Dizdar, people that come from that world, the Caricos with Now You See TV that are going to be here with us in streaming live. Those that have been in this fight for a really long time, help in navigating an investigation on the side. So in helping as far as when you get into bloodlines of why different children at a higher level are taken, and what that looks like when you're tracking them. I do trafficking trails. We also do decoding. I work with survivors too, and as an intercessor also, meaning that what comes out of them we take from there and we put back into the trafficking trails, and because it goes into locating and eventually hopefully rescue is what we do.
Where is it based out of? Like, where do you primarily, is it all over the country? Or?
It is. I have teams internationally. I can't disclose.
She can't disclose.
I know you can't disclose where you are, but
it's international. Yes.
Now, will you be speaking at the conference this weekend?
I'm not going to this time
Okay.
unless something happens. Unless something happens at
You
the last
are speaking,
minute.
yeah.
Right now I am. There we go. Okay, so but I hope to speak with you guys, and I hope to go further and spend more time with you. You know,
Yeah, we'd
I
love
really
to have
do.
you in studio.
T, you're one of my heroes from the moment I met you. I'm like,
You
I
too.
love this woman. She's tough as
Yes.
nails, and I'm tough as nails. So I love
Yes.
meeting.
Yes, it's an honor
meeting
to
my match.
Yes, it's an honor. I have to tell you, I've told my executive director, and she remembers you. So
Aw,
from the days of
thank
Nancy
you.
Schaefer, so types of survivors I work with too that are from that time.
Amazing,
so I've learned from.
amazing. So
Yeah.
T, we don't know where this podcast goes. We have about 30,000 subscribers, but if Jonah's listening, if God would to on his computer, him Google and something pop up, can you please speak to Jonah right now?
Yes. Jonah, I just want you to know that I'm never going to stop fighting for you. And I want you to know every day, this is a battle for me every day. I love you. And if you see this, I'd like you to reach out also to, I have staff called the Find Jonah International staff that is under the Isaiah 61 Ministries. And I just want you to know that I'm never going to give up, and I'm going to find you.
So T's not just
Jesus'
fighting
name.
for you, Jonah. She's fighting for children all over the world.
That's right.
So you should be so proud of your mama.
That are just like you. So they're going to come out behind you.
Amen.
Amen.
Amen, yes.
Well, T, thanks for coming on.
Thank
I know
you.
there's a level of risk here, but God is bigger
He
than the
is.
devil.
He
He's
really
bigger.
is.
He's more powerful.
Amen.
Amen. All right. I love you, girl.
So good.
Oh. All right. And we have one of our great speakers.
John Pounders, welcome.
that's me.
Where'd you come from?
I came from Indiana, the southern part where there's a little bit of hills. I know most people, when they think of Indiana, they think of flat, but there's
Yeah.
actually a few hills where I'm
You've
at.
got
So
some hills.
yeah, we got some hills. We're right there by Kentucky. So yeah.
Wow, so you traveled pretty good distance to be here today.
Like,
Why are you here?
So I talked to Kelly, I guess, or no, I'm sorry, T, and she told me about the conference. So when she told me about it, this is something that I had been many years ago, before I even knew what all this stuff was. I took a job with a guy that did lawn care, and little did I know this guy was connected in with these groups that were over in California and a bunch of different places, and they were trying to stop child trafficking. Also doing protests, busting out judges who were sitting on the board of CPS, also being judges, so they were getting kickbacks. So I kind of was familiar with all of this stuff for a long time. And then in 2016, I made a documentary. My original, I guess, entrance into this world to know what was going on was Russ Dizdar. And I happened to listen to him on a podcast while I was working one day. And so I started looking into my own area. And we put together this documentary called The Blue House, the Satanic Blue House. And in Evansville, Indiana, where I'm from originally, there was stories of these children who were coming from different schools. And they were all going to this blue house, and they started telling these stories. And the stories they were telling were stuff like you would read in the Egyptian Book of the Dead. They were doing rituals on these children. All of them, none of these kids knew each other. They all had the same markings on their arm, reviewed by psychologists. Even a current affair came and covered it. And so I did a documentary about it for two reasons. One, because I thought that the story needed to be told again in Evansville, because most people had literally no idea. And on top of that, the prosecutor, who was the prosecutor back then, was still the prosecutor. And they called him Let Him Go Levko, because he let pedophiles go. Like, they would come in, they'd spend a week or two, and then they'd be gone. So he wouldn't prosecute the case. And I remember seeing him on the documentary saying, I'm just not going to prosecute it. I just don't believe it, just real flippantly after all the evidence that had been presented. And so I wanted him to lose. And so now, on top of doing the documentary to get him to lose, it was also so other people would know about it. So that's how I started in this. I haven't touched the subject.
Did he lose?
He lost. He lost. Yeah, everybody called. There were signs out in front of the courthouse. People were saying, "Let him go, Levko."
Yeah.
And like nobody, after the documentary came out, like everybody was like trying to stay.
Is the documentary still up?
It's still up. You can find it on our website, and I think you have DVDs, but also it's on the website for people to stream out there. And that
Go
was
ahead and tell us your website, and we'll put it in the link.
nystv.org. So
like your hat.
Yeah, like my
Okay,
hat.
gotcha.
Yeah. But so I got involved in that. So then, and I'm sorry if you need to cut me off. Go for it. But,
it's okay.
It's so interesting.
yeah, I haven't touched this subject for a while because of the persecution that comes along with it. I mean, I have 5 children of my own. I've got, all of these things going on right now. So there's a lot of persecution dealing with this topic. But I felt God tugging at my heart again to speak about this subject. And so I'm here to do it again. And I've, done a lot of research over the years and come to find out pretty much everything is all connected to this, even, as far as Freemasonry, ancient Canaanite practices, all of that all ties in to what we're here to talk about today. So,
Well, thank you for being here.
Thank you for
Yeah.
being here. Thank you for speaking. Thank you for your documentary. I look forward to watching it. And we're going to have this documentary in the link to open your eyes also.
Yeah, for sure.
So thank you,
Well,
Jonathan.
You're welcome.
Jonathan Ponders.
Yeah, hopefully you don't have to do too much editing,
So we have volunteers in the background getting everything set up. And I wanted to just bring on one of the very faithful volunteers. Her name is Laura Walker. And Laura, can you just tell us why you're here and why this issue is so important to you?
Oh, wow. Great question. 2 years ago, I came to Counting the Cost. And I came because a friend of mine said, Laura, you have to go check out this ministry. So I did and just had a wonderful, eye-opening, enlightening experience, and I've been ever since. And as I followed Kelly and began to volunteer with her, I also learned that I too had some childhood trauma. And so I've been a client, I've been a volunteer, and now Kelly also has a battle cry every other week. And a few times I've taught, so I'm seeing all parts of the ministry.
That's excellent. We're
Yes.
so happy that you're here. We're honored to be here as well. And what, in your own words or your own experience, what is your purpose? Why do you like it so much, and what do you get out of it?
I feel that I have been called to equip those who are equipping other people, working with survivors, working with clients, more the boots on the ground people, I feel like I have tools because I love to study and read to offer and to come up alongside of those type of people. And that's the way I support.
Well, I know that you know Hebrew.
Ken,
I didn't know that.
So can you speak a little Hebrew for us and then tell us what you said? Because I think it's such an anointed language.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi leka min haaretz. Most of the Hebrew prayers start with Baruch atah Adonai.
Yeah, what is that? Adonai is God, right?
Yes,
Okay.
the Lord specifically.
Lord.
Yes. Blessed is the Lord our God.
Oh, that's amazing.
King of the universe. Melech ha'olam is King of the universe.
Melech ha'olam.
And that's how most of your prayers, the Hebrew prayers, are going to start. And go bless the podcast, bless our friends, our food, our wine. Yes.
So say it one more time before we close.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Let's do another one.
Okay.
Asher kitshanu b'mitzvoto v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel, because it is Shabbat.
Shabbat.
Shalom.
Okay. Shabbat shalom. I know that one.
Thanks for being on with us today,
Thank
Lord.
you,
Thank you for
ladies.
all the work
Oh,
that
thank
you
you
do,
so
the
much.
selfless
Yeah.
work.
Thank
We're grateful
you.
to you.
Thank you.
And thank you for coming on. And
Yes.
we appreciate it. And we'll see you later.
It's a deal.
They're heart-wrenching stories. And we are going to have links to a lot of stuff, and we're going to do a whole show on this. But I just am grateful that that you guys listen, that you're tuning in. But I ask you to do more than that. I ask you to reach out. I ask you to reach out to Warrior Bride Ministries. If you have money that you would like to donate, they need your help. So
Yeah, this
Kitty.
is definitely a deep dive conference. One that I'm looking forward to, which I wasn't before, but I was a little afraid. But this information, the more I hear the stories, and my heart breaks for each and every person who has been touched by this. It's dark.
we're going to do the
guys,
heavy
but
lifting this
yeah,
weekend, the real heavy
It
lifting.
is. It's dark, but I do want to encourage people that facing the darkness brings light. I feel that. I know that now 100%. I've been through it these past 2 weeks, so I know the other side of that. I'm still learning the other side of that, but we will have the links in the description below with the live streamed weekend. So
And
please
we're praying
watch
for
it.
you. If you're a survivor of child sexual abuse, child trafficking, SRA, know that we are here giving a voice to it and that we're praying for you.
And please reach out. Reach out to us and we will get you the information, the people, the resources that you need ASAP.
We will hook you up.
Yep,
All right.
absolutely.
Thank you. So, wow, that was a lot in the time that we were at the conference, the Collision Conference. And if you get a chance, we're going to put the link of the recording for the entire conference, which was a 3-day conference, in the links below.
Yep.
So you can really get more training and more education on it. And we thank you for tuning in. This is hard to listen to, hard to watch, I know, but it takes a lot of courage to fight evil. And
we want to thank each and every guest that came on and shared their story. I know it was a tight, short stories, but it was profound. It was impactful, and we just want to thank you.
And we want to thank you for tuning in. We ask that you would share this podcast, that you would like it, you would share it in social media. And again, we want to thank Mesmerize Media for making this possible.
Absolutely. We wouldn't be here without them, so thank you.
So I'm Angela Williams.
And I'm Katie Sudano.
Thank you for being with us.
Thank you.